Federal Inland Revenue did a practical example by going to a particular company, which I will not mention the name, and introduced their system into their own system. And they discovered that the company was actually remitting like 1/10 of what they ought to have been remitting. So we believe that if this is introduced by FRS to all commercial entities, Nigeria will start to benefit. Mr. Chairman, sir, we added in the bill before you that all companies must give access. They must give access to Nigerian Revenue Service to all their computer. In other claims, Mr. Chairman, the moment you buy an airtime in point A, it is seen by their own revenue service. But here, you buy airtime in point A or point B, or even closer to the office of FRS, they don't get to know because the law does not allow them. Now we are giving them the power, if you approve, for this. So the era of underpayment, under remittance will be over, and it will lead to more revenue for Nigeria. Information to be delivered by bankers and others. An amendment was introduced to allay the concerns of taxpayers in respect of the proposed information to be provided by banks by including the language for the purpose of tax to ensure that the information is not used for the purposes other than that of which it was intended. Similarly, the qualifying threshold for reportable transactions has been increased from 25 million to 50 million. The bill came with every transaction of 25 million must be reported by the bank. The returns must be filed to Revenue Service, and we believe that it will be too cumbersome. Apart from that, so many of our local businessmen are doing more than 25 million. And so, is it that every time they have to file their returns? So we increase the threshold to 50 million, for individuals, and from 100 million to 250 million in the case of corporate entities. Accreditation of tax agents. The committee has proposed the deletion of subsection 5, which implies that tax agents may be accredited by the service notwithstanding the qualification, experience, and certification of such persons. This addresses the concerns around the possibility of unqualified persons being accredited as agents. Currency of assessments and payments. Amendments made to this section ensure that tax is assessed in the currency of transaction and any liability is paid in the same currency. There were proposals that if you are assessed in US dollar, you should pay Naira as your tax. We said no. If the assessment is in US or Euro or any currency, or Shine or whatever the currencies are, you pay in that currency. And this, we believe, will assist us in our revenue. Power to distrain. Inclusion of the mandatory need for the tax authority to seek and obtain an order of the court before proceeding to sell movable assets belonging to taxpayers. The bill came with seeking our approval to sell anybody's property who refused to pay tax. And we said, no, there must be a court order for that purpose. That's the recommendation. Enforcement of powers. A new subsection has...
No, like that. You know, Lagos State was said that to have been rebased. Lagos State economy yesterday. So they now projected that Lagos State economy will be worth over $259 billion by the end of 2025. You know, an economy that is considered the 8th biggest economy in the entire Africa. And Nigeria economy is also projected, according to this rating online, they said Nigeria economy is expected to also hit 1.5 trillion, even as it is currently at less than 200 billion. Lagos State has the potential, of course, like what you have in California. Compare if you have to consider all of the businesses that have their headquarters in Lagos, the new city where they are building themselves a new seaport, the Lekki, the Lekki free trade zone or something, where they are also building their own airport, and they've done so much of a reclaim of the sea over there, enough that they have created a kind of like, another economy. And it is also in that same Lagos, you have the Dangote refinery, which is also valued at $20 billion. So when you put together all of these, indeed, or what bearing does that have on the people that live in Lagos? That is going to be a question for, a different conversation entirely. Okay, here is that approval of this Tinubu tax reform.
Carried. (36 to 40), 41 to 45, 46 to 50, 51 to 55, 56 to 60, 61 to 65, 66 to 70, 71 to 75, 76 to 80, 81 to 85, 86 to 90. Carried. 91 to 95. 96 to 100. 101 to 110. 111 to 120. 130 to 140. 141. 142. 143, 315, 383, 387, the schedules, explanatory memorandum, the long title of the bill. Thank you very much. Thank you for carrying. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for a good job. Thank you all.
Carried.
Thank you.
So that's the tax reform at the lower house passed. So the implementation, the signing of it into law by Tinubu is going to be next, but they are going to wait for Akwabiole. Possibly Akwabiole's house will pass their own tomorrow. And then maybe by Monday, they are going to put up a ceremony inside the Old Rock, okay, for Tinubu to sign this. And then the whole implementation begins.
APC! APC from top to bottom. Top to bottom. Top to bottom.
The great youth of Nigeria.
Great.
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 Greatest.
You. In another development, where a man is about to institute a case against First Bank Nigeria, and his case is, somebody said, "Oh, Mayego, you remember my area, Abiriba?" Of course, I know Abiriba. And mind you, this man I'm about to share his story with you is from that same Abiriba, where is 550 million naira suddenly gone missing from his own bank account with First Bank Nigeria. Now, he's getting ready to sue the First Bank for his stolen money, his position. You want to listen? His name is Angono. His name is Dr. A.K. Agbayi. Right? Watch this.
much of it. It's very sad. The first bank that I have high respect for, an institution, a banking institution that is supposed to preserve funds of clients. It's so sad that an appeal was made to some of us, prominent sons of Abreba. And I went out of my way to have my entire retire funds, 555 million fixed deposit. Fixed deposit. There's the distinction between ordinary deposit and fixed deposit. A certificate of fixed deposit issued to me, 250 million and 300 million respectively, for over 10 years. From 2014, I left that because I did not want First Bank to be removed from my hometown. It especially came from the then group managing director of the UK, who appealed to some of us. Imagine leaving that point, but fixed. Then over time, as the Lord will have it, upon arrival into Nigeria, from the airport, I went straight to Abuja to pick some funds. 55 million in a savings account had disappeared. And that was what triggered this. They said I had just made a withdrawal at Omaya, but was not qualified. I said it couldn't have been possible. They triggered an investigation, and it happened that indeed, bank officials had withdrawn 55 million in 6 installments of 10 million and 5 million respectively, of which they accepted. An email was transacted. They accepted responsibility, and it took about 1 week for the funds to be returned to me. It was then I became very afraid, as anybody would. Then I wrote to say I wanted to terminate my fixed deposit, only to tell me that my money was nowhere to go. Stories. I mean, can you imagine that? And in the course of that, I've found out that First Bank has involved themselves in a lot of criminal activities of their staff. And they want to shy away responsibility, as if their staff was different from them as an institution. I couldn't have transacted with First Bank if not because of their agent. You cannot distinguish yourself from the agent. I don't want to make it look like it's the agent's responsibility, has nothing to do with them. That the agent has absconded, the agent has run away, they were investigating. I mean, can you imagine what have I got to do with agents? I dealt with First Bank in that capacity. Can you imagine what happened? Just imagine if you have your funds, because it's easy for people to detach themselves. And this is a reputable institution. And in the course of our investigation, we discovered that this is not an isolated case. That issues of officers of the bank, former chairman of the bank.
It is not new, by the way. Like, the Nigeria corrupt system, it runs so deep that if people begin to share their stories, their banking experience in that contraption, a lot of you will probably stay away from their banks. I don't have Nigerian bank account, and I don't dream of having one. When I left Nigeria about 13 years ago, I remember very well, I had 7,500 naira inside my bank account. And today, I do not have a bank account again, and I do not have access to my 7,500 naira. The system has swallowed it. So if you put your money in their bank, they have their staff that are pure criminals that you actually have to, develop, what is that called again? Like, try to change your details until they empty your bank account. And if you raise alarm, everything will point to you as you are the one who took your money. That's over 600 million naira of somebody's money, right? Who seems not to be living in Nigeria. When he needed his money, he found out that 550 million is gone. First, 55 million from savings accounts. So they investigated and found out this was done by a member of staff, of the bank staff. Yeah. 550 million. Baba. Nah, I can't leave like 10 million naira inside a bank account in Nigeria. Nah. I don't know, it's just me, because if you are living there, your case is different. All right. And I hope that you do not become a victim of this too, because your whole world can be turned upside down. And if you do not have the long leg as expected, you are never probably going to recover your money, ever. So Dr. Agbai, Odemo, no leave their neck, no even listen to any explanation, excuses or whatever you do the hell out of them. And apart from getting your money back, you must also get, compensation for this as well. Well, it's just like the system, you're not sure. Director Scott. Now, talking about a system that is so rotten, right? This is not limited to the criminal politicians, by the way, including those who were supposed to be traditional rulers. Here is a story of the people of Amankau, Autonomous Community of Amori in Nkanu West local government area of Enugu State, right? The people had to protest because the supposed leader, his name is Igwe Linus Nwobodo, a supposed royal father. They're supposed to protect the interest of his own people in his own autonomous enclave. He chose to rip them off by becoming, a land grabber. Imagine a king as land grabber, like the honey of Ife. Honey of Ife, hold the haze as the number one, land grabbing mofo that is also sitting on a traditional stool in Nigeria. The biggest land fraud committed in the history of Nigeria till date. The biggest, I'm not saying the only one, the biggest is a crime committed by the man parading himself today as a honey of Ife. So look at this Igwe Linus from Enugu, what he has done to his own people. They had to protest, can you imagine? Our king is selling our lands, sending thugs after us. How? Pray for them. Now they are demanding for a new election of the town union, and at the same time the sanctioning of Igwe Linus Nwobodo, the supposed king of that area, who is chancing them. Thank you so much, by the way, everyone. I am going to keep the rest of the chat, or else we are going to spend the rest of the evening here. But before I go, right, I want to share this with you, and this is Soludo. Soludo was warned by one pastor who said, when Soludo said that people who are preaching outside or in the market, making noise, they will be arrested and they will be fined, so some sort of pastors took that personal to warn him. However, Soludo was right there at a Dunamis prayer crusade, a miracle crusade in Awka yesterday, and he had this to say.
I want to say one thing. I commend Dunamis. Organizing this in a very structured manner. I think September this year, the PFN will also be having another one here. And in November, the Anglicans and the others will be organizing one here. Because you have organized this in a very perfect, structured manner, you haven't gone to block the streets or block anybody. You are doing that in a very structured manner. I want to say,